Hey guys, what's up? I know I'm super late for this Wonder Woman movie review, so think of this more as a discussion of me just talking about the movie and not really an official review, despite that I've put in the thumbnail that it is a review. So fuck it. Um, I'm just gonna get right into it, and I don't really go from. I like to jump around in my movie reviews, so whatever I found the most interesting, like whatever comes to my mind at first, that's what I'm gonna talk about because I don't like to do a lot of heavy editing. So, but for this, I'm gonna start from the beginning and work my way down. So the very, very beginning of this movie has to do with Ares. The scroll where they're like, "Oh, bye, yeah, this is what happened. This is the intro. We got Greek gods. We're gonna tell you about it." So Zeus apparently created the humans, in his own image, I guess perfectly, and then Ares brought down, sin, I guess greed, jealousy, basically created anarchy, which then started wars which led to him fighting the other gods. And this is now all that's well and good. It kind of copies the Prometheus and maybe a little bit of the Loki and maybe the Lucifer story. Maybe not the Loki thing, but the whole gods giving shit to mortals that the big god didn't want to happen, or just giving mortals knowledge in general. And that's all well and good. It just seems like a copy, and I don't remember Ares doing that in the original comic, but it's been a while since I've read a Wonder Woman comic, as you can see. But my problem lies in where he fights the gods. So they make it sound like Ares soloed Olympus. Like he killed Poseidon, he killed Hades, Athena, Hestia, Hephaestus, Hermes, Dionysus, Apollo, Artemis. Zeus apparently died of his injuries, and I'm supposed to believe Ares is just fine. Yeah, he's been gone for few thousand years or so. But Ares, the god of war, just soloed Olympus. He's not Kratos. How does this work? And they made it look like he did it at the same time. Ares is not that powerful in the comic book. And if Wonder Woman can take out this Ares, why the fuck couldn't she take out Doomsday? This dude could take out gods. But, that's neither here nor there. And to me, that has a bigger problem than I may have let on because Wonder Woman is very religious. And I say that meaning that she'll always say, Hera, give me strength, Hephaestus, hear me, or, she'll reference these Greek gods. And so with Ares killing the most of them, if not all of them, does that take away from the Wonder Woman character? Like, can she no longer say, Hera, give me strength, and all that other stuff? Because, they're kind of dead. Also, I forgot to mention Hera when I was scrolling the gods, my bad. So, and I don't know. I feel like they may have taken away from the character, but I don't think it's that major. So I'll let that pass. But again, Ares seems to be a little OP, which contradicts how he seems to be in the movie. I guess you can say he's been weakened. So moving on to the initial sighting of Themyscira, I appreciate that the Zack Snyder dark emo filter is gone and we have a bright paradise. That's nice. As long as you keep Zack Snyder away from any movie, maybe you can have a few smiles. But and then she starts off young as usual. We get to see her grow, and your mother's telling her stories of how her Zeus breathed life into her because she's made of clay and whatnot. Although in the original comic book and in the Justice League cartoon, that story is still the same, except Hades was the one that did that. That's the twist you find out later on in the series. Also, I forgot to mention that a Justice League episode involving Wonder Woman's religious beliefs of saying the Greek god's name to give her power was also in their episode of Justice League, and that came about when Hawkgirl wanted to know why Wonder Woman did that, and it's an episode about faith. Excuse me, I don't know the exact episode number or the title of the episode. But it did happen in the original Justice League series. If I'll probably put in the name of it in the description if I ever figure out what it is. But moving on, so if they make another Wonder Woman 2 or 3, I think the Hades twist may be a thing if Hades is indeed not dead or if Ares fucking killed him. Again, hard to believe that Ares soloed Olympus. And, I don't have really a problem with the young Wonder Woman. That was pretty good. And then she grows up. But one thing they didn't do properly to me is they don't really specify how old Wonder Woman is because Wonder Woman we know from the comics has been around since ancient Greece. Like, she used to knock boots with Hercules. Not knock boots, not like that. But you know what I mean. She used to hang out with Hercules and shit. Spartacus. So she's relatively old because you don't really necessarily age after your prime on Themyscira normally. Like these Amazons are old as shit. But you kind of got that with Hippolyta because Hippolyta said she was with the war, so I guess you can gauge how old Wonder Woman is, but they don't ever say exactly. So that's fine. But then we get to the Steve Trevor part, and he comes in there. I like him. He's cool. And then the not Nazis. Were they Nazis? The German soldiers. I don't want to call them Nazis. I think they may have been Nazis. But they come on the beach, and it gets really 300-esque. And here's my main problem with the movie, because it's gonna continue throughout the rest of the movie. The fights are relatively bloodless. Like, you have these Amazons impaling people with spears and swords and arrows, and there's no blood. And it's a PG-13 movie, but we can get a little bit more blood than this. Have you seen a modern anime? Read a manga? Comic books? They're gushing. Fucking geysers, okay? And there's just no blood. Like Wonder Woman or Diana at this point gets a scratch. Oh no, a scratch. But that's kind of lame. Like, I'm not saying I want to see someone get decapitated, but show me the visible wounds. Show me like this was a battle. And I think slow motion was overused in this fighting sequence. And throughout the whole movie, there's a lot of slow-mo. And I understand that, we gotta see the kick, but our eyes are not that slow. We can keep up. And moving on past that, because, wait, pause. Don't pause the video, I mean pause for me. When she starts talking to Steve Trevor and she's deciding to go on it, she's not an Amazon, so I guess Hippolyta was like, okay, go ahead, because she's like, whatever, I guess she didn't have to listen to you. But the thing is, in the Wonder Woman animated movie, in some of the comics, the reason why Wonder Woman's outfit is decked out like the American flag is because when an Amazon is an emissary to another country, it is customary for them to don the colors of that country. That's why she looks like the goddamn American flag, even though she's from ancient Greece. Or at least Themyscira, which is part of, shut up, okay, I know. And the thing about the suit is they don't really explain this. Now, I could be outdated here or I could be downright wrong, but from what I remember is that the boots give her the power to fly, the armor itself gives her the super strength, and I don't know what the tiara does, that might be something. And the gauntlets are the defense thing, and the suit, and the rope, that's what I mean, and the rope is the lasso of truth. They don't really explain this, and in fact, Wonder Woman does not fly too often in the entire, like at all during the entire movie until the end, really. And I'm just thinking there, you know how convenient it would have been if you just flew more often? You would have saved a lot of time. Why did you even go horseback riding? You can fly. Shit like that. But, most of the movie's pretty good. Like, they didn't spend too much time on the Fish Out of Water Act when they finally got to the UK. Again, I don't know why they went to the UK and they, supposed to go to America. And so I'm not going to spend too much time dwelling on the middle. Because, the middle is just phenomenal. And you get to meet these new characters, these side characters. They're not going to be superheroes. They're just normal Joes. And I like that. And another thing I like about Wonder Woman is that she's not fighting because, well, she has some personal backstory. Ares may be a little personal. She's fighting because it's the right thing to do. She's a hero. She's a true hero in this point. She doesn't have like some freaking vendetta. She wasn't just. She was kind of raised to do this, but at the same time, it's also part of her personality, and she feels her duty as just to be a hero to protect. Like, it's ingrained in her personality. It's part of her raising, too. But I feel like this is true to her character. And I'll admit, I was one of those people who didn't like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. And part of me still doesn't. But when she put on the suit and the action kicked in, I was thoroughly impressed. I will take about half of what I said about Gal Gadot being Wonder Woman, although I didn't have a YouTube channel back then, so you can't even know what I said. So, ha. But I'll say that she has quelled most of my concerns. I did enjoy the movie as her. Now, what really kicks off is when she starts fighting, that other German dude, the general, I forgot his name, the one who he thought was Ares. So, like, that fight was cool, although it was in this confined space, and it wasn't really that epic. So, we're just gonna, when she thought she was Ares, although you would think she would have some kind of god sense, but Ares, Ares is pretty fucking lame in this movie. Like, he's that little scrawny British dude. He's not intimidating at all. Even when he puts on his god armor, he's just that little British dude in the big armor. And there's a point where his voice does get really deep, but then in the next scene, the voice is right back to being that nasally British voice. Which, again, I like British people, but I'm just saying this particular voice was nasally. And it wasn't fitting for the god of war. Not to mention, this guy fought more like Magneto. Like, he started making weapons out of nowhere and just psycho telekinesis, it's called telekinesis, just chucking shit at her. For the most part, just playing fucking dodge metal, which was kind of lame. There was very few occasions where he actually ran up on her and fought her. And wait, I need to back up. Sorry, I need to back up. So Wonder Woman takes the God Killer. Now, in the beginning, when they first meet, she's just prowling him, and then it cuts to, like, prowling around him, and it cuts to Steve Trevor about to, get on the plane, and it jumps back, because when she killed the general, she stabbed through the ceiling of his body, so she doesn't have the God Killer sword, and Ares is in the room. So it cuts to Steve Trevor, and it cuts back, and it shows her kind of landing, because it appears that she jumped up there and came down with the God Killer. So she went up there on the roof and came back down to get the God Killer. So I'm just sitting there like, so Ares just let you climb the roof and come back down all safe and sound and didn't try to stop you at all from picking up the so-called God Killer, which I thought was fucking hilarious. That shit was funny. But again, the fight ensued, and you find out that, oh, that's not the God Killer. You're the God Killer. Only a god can kill a god. So I'm sitting there like, so a god with a sword can't kill a god, but a god without a sword can kill a god. Okay, sure. But just to wrap this up, because there's really not much more to talk about for me. I bitched about the ending. The ending kind of killed it for me. And she kind of like Zeused him. Yeah, Ares was throwing lightning at her. How, Sway? You're not Zeus. And she tossed it right back because she's the daughter of Zeus. In the New 52, I think she is too. I need to go read that. I'm sorry about that. I'll go do some more Wonder Woman research and I'll come back. But I will recommend you to watch the Wonder Woman animated movie now, because they do it a lot better than this movie did. And granted, this is a great DC movie. Most DC movies are complete fucking trash, and this is a good movie amongst that trash pile. So for a final rating for this movie, I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10, maybe a 7, pretty much an 8. I know I gave Spider-Man an 8 out of 10, so I feel like I'm giving a lot of 8s recently, but yeah, 8 out of 10. But I'd highly recommend you to watch the original Wonder Woman movie and